Thank you for choosing to watch the Watchman News Headlines video. Our full episodes can now be seen over at Patreon with much more added content for just $2 a month. Link is in the description. If you cannot afford $2 a month, please consider using our Amazon affiliate link, purchasing from our Teespring store, or making a PayPal donation. All links are below. In order for us to grow, we have to make changes to enable it. Our time is valuable, and we have been one of the very few news sources actually dedicated to bringing you honest, hard-hitting, actionable news and information. Plus, for your $2 a month, you do not have to hear me blabber about these links. It's a win for us all.
Bullshit.
Thank you. Good evening, Watchmen and Watchwomen of YouTube. So, tonight we just had a quick discussion on the situation involving the ship that's stuck in the Suez Canal, and we talked about the shortage of computer chips and how it's already affecting this country and how it could in the possibly near future. We also talked a little bit about the prospect of tapering down, or maybe even at some point cutting off the imports from your Asian countries, China, and who knows where else. Talked about a lot of this different stuff because just think about it. With the tensions rising with China and Russia and in the Middle East, and with all these tensions rising, if something flares up, you can't imagine that if the United States and China, for instance, was involved in conflict against each other, you can't possibly believe that that country is going to continue to export goods into your country. So once you turn that faucet off, things are going to be awfully different in this country. So something to think about. Anyway, remind everybody that we're nearing the end of the month, which means we're also nearing the beginning of next month, which is a great time to join us over there at Patreon, where you can listen to these monologues yourself. So anyway, let me go ahead and hop over into headlines, and we'll get those out of the way. All right, got one from last night here. It's the only one from last night. Pentagon greenlights request to hold detained migrant children at 2 Texas military bases. Facebook and Amazon, this is from this morning that I put out. Facebook and Amazon emerge as 2 biggest corporate lobbyists as big tech breaks own spending record in 2020 election cycle, says a report. AstraZeneca's jab effectiveness slips to 76% in new test data after vaccine maker comes under fire for submitting outdated info. Let's see. Watch as a Russian Soyuz rocket launches 36 separate satellites into near-Earth orbit as part of joint mission with UK firm. There's a video on RT. Let's see. Flag shagging are completely normal. New rule says Union Jack to fly on all government buildings, polarizing Brits. Crazy. Reddit fires controversial transgender activists linked to TWO pedophilia scandals after users revolt. Let's see. It might take weeks to free enormous beached whale ship in Suez Canal, says a dredging firm. So they say it might take weeks. They say that's I do believe 12% or so of the shipping, global shipping, which tells me that there's 88% that it doesn't stop. So while I was saying on Patreon, I think it'll slow down some stuff, but not not everything. But I would keep my eye out for other things that either massively slow down, or shut off the supply from other nations. So anyway, over half of Israelis have received both shots of COVID-19 vaccine, says the health minister. Bitcoin could become outlawed the way gold was outlawed in 1934, says Ray Dalio. Let's see. European identity is collapsing in the continent's largest country, with the youth leading the charge. Let's see. Merkel backs EU's joint vaccine procurement model despite complaints that European nations don't have enough COVID jabs. Traffic through Suez Canal fully suspended as tugs try to free stuck container ship. You could always just lob a few missiles. I'm kidding. That would also cause a huge mess, and we have to think about those things. U.S. imports record volumes of Russian oil despite growing political tensions. Skechers tiptoes around Uyghur forced labor claims as competitors Nike and H&M face China backlash. Once the inflation genie is out of the bottle, you can't get it back in, says Max Kaiser. I'm sure that is going to be another thing we face in this country very soon. Most appalling idea and almost certainly illegal, Brits protest over Johnson's suggestion that pubs could ban the unvaccinated. Yeah, well, it's one thing that we Americans have learned, and that's never trust your Johnson. End of online and on. Sorry. Russians may have to provide passport details when signing up to social media under new government plans. Beijing blasts U.S. for historical use of slave labor, dismissing Nike and H&M allegations on rights abuses in Xinjiang. Merkel calls for better EU-Ankara relations, but raises concerns over lack of rule of law and human rights violations in Turkey. Europe like diesel engine in terms of vaccination, Macron says, amid growing frustration over pace of immunization campaign. Unable to win on battlefield, West is now waging a mental war against Russian civilization, Moscow's Ministry of Defense claims. Taiwan says it's now making long-range missile capable of striking China. I forgot to include that on Patreon tonight. So, yeah, that was that, in my opinion, was a pretty big one. And I'm sure that they've probably been doing this, but to make it, again, you know, a lot of times these stories are put in the news with intent. And, you know, it's intended that other nations pick up on this. So that's kind of interesting. That's kind of a bold thing to say. It truly is. Thailand grants Johnson & Johnson COVID vaccine emergency authorization. With COVID-19 vaccination rates still low, Moscow to mass mobilize 7,000 social workers to encourage elderly to get inoculated. A Royal Navy trainer jet crashes in Cornwall Field. Both pilots managed to eject and are being treated. Ukrainian opposition leader faces criminal investigation by Kiev's top security agency for treason over 2014 Crimean referendum. Amazon accused of gaslighting after insisting reports of employees forced to urinate in bottles is not true. They were jars. Tories accused of outsourcing accountability in Big Four consultancy Deloitte tasked to drafting responses to MPs. And I'm sure I probably said that wrong, whatever the hell that is. Zombie gene causes brain cells to come alive and grow appendages hours after death, researchers find. Now, I hope you have a good night. No, apparently you do have some cells in your head that do apparently come alive after you die, hours later after you die. And they do apparently grow these like arm-like things. And Yeah. What a pleasant thought. Philippines Duarte raises concerns with Beijing as 220 Chinese vessels moor at reef in Manila's territorial waters. Yeah, that's an issue. So that is something to keep a very, very close eye on. Remember what I was saying. If those goods would happen to just get shut off like a faucet, imagine how different your life would be immediately. So just think about that. Austria extradites former Russian official accused of stealing millions of dollars from St. Petersburg iconic Hermitage Museum. Steroids might make you stronger, but they age the human brain prematurely by years, new research says. Why blockage of Suez Canal could have rollover effect on oil price. So they're trying to, I guess, make excuses why they're going to have to raise oil. It's not brain surgery. Researchers develop method to treat neurological disorders, chronic pain, and depression using X-rays. Danish Health Authority extends suspension of AstraZeneca COVID vaccine for 3 weeks. UK Children's Minister Vicky Ford accused of stealing credit for hunger awareness campaigns from I don't know if that's United Star Marcus, is it Rashford? Yeah, Rashford. Something like that. UK says Facebook and Giphy have 5 days to offer legal solution amid concerning merger and warns of further investigation. A COVAX scheme warns India's export license holdup is hurting vaccine rollout in poorer countries. Israel's High Court bans Netanyahu from appointing top law enforcement and justice officials as it could affect his corruption trial. Germany urges Brussels to buy Russia's Sputnik 5 before regulatory approval as EU suffers from COVID-19 vaccine shortage, says reports. South Korea launches criminal probe into spreading of rumors that president secretly had Pfizer vaccine instead of AstraZeneca's. Russian President Putin has done terrible things and doesn't care what Western world thinks of him, says Canadian PM Trudeau. Headmaster apologizes. Police called as parents protest at UK school after teacher shows Prophet Muhammad cartoon. Austria's Kurz warns of damage to EU unless COVID-19 vaccines distributed evenly among member states. U.S. man arrested after boarding plane in Mauritiana or something like that and threatening to set it on fire, said he had problems with the African nation. Plans to require social media users to share passport details when signing up for new accounts scrapped by Russian media regulator. U.S. and U.K. sanction Myanmar military-linked entities over campaign of repression against civilians. Italy can't meet EU over 80s vaccination target, think tank warns as PM says regions are neglecting the elderly. Let's see. What did you have for breakfast, Joe? As CNN publishes tough questions for Biden, critics guess how low the bar will really be. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, I listened to it myself, and yeah, it wasn't softball. I don't think it was. Photojournalist calls on Biden administration to lift media border ban, says he was removed by law enforcement for photographing migrants. Joe Biden holds first solo press conference. The Hague bomb scare, Dutch parliament evacuated, military called in, police cordon off nearby streets after false bomb threat. Bleak new figures show UK child poverty hit record high before the pandemic, most poor kids in working family. New study claims high background radiation can actually benefit humans. And I've got a bridge to sell you. Biden says he's not looking for confrontation with China despite stiff competition and issues with Taiwan and South China Sea. Lawyers claim Navalny is being tortured and is in severe pain, but Russian prison service says he's in satisfactory state. Well, I'm not sure how well off that means somebody is if Russia says that they're in a satisfactory state. You mean he's alive? Gotcha. Biden, already the oldest president to assume office, says to expect to run for re-election in 2024, or at least his hologram will. Troops not leaving Afghanistan before Trump pullout deadline as Biden makes vague "we will leave" promise. Let's see. Thought double face mask and goggles weren't enough. Enter nose masks. Yeah. No. Biden says vast majority of migrants reaching U.S. border are being sent back. Secret Service got involved in Hunter Biden lost gun incident after he claimed no drug addiction in paperwork, says reports. Israel election in tight race to power. Palestinian party emerges as possible kingmaker for Netanyahu. Racist and unconstitutional. California city to offer $500 checks to low-income families, but not if they're white. Media blame Iran as missile hits Israeli. Blues over there huffing. Media blame Iran as missile hits Israeli-owned ship in Arabian Sea. Texas death toll from February storm outages surpasses 100. Reporters ask zero pandemic questions after Biden kicks off presser by touting doubling of vaccination target. Pyongyang says it fired new tactical guided missile as it ramps up testing with a flurry of launches. Let's see. Hands-off philosophy on censorship. Substack shoots down activists. Pressure campaign looking to silence non-PC journalists. Biden adds fodder to dementia speculation as spirited response on filibuster reform degenerates into word solid. Attack on Saudi oil terminal leaves fuel tank on fire after wave of Houthi drones target nearby cities. Georgia adopts election integrity law denounced by Democrats as immoral, evil, and racist. At least 5 deaths reported in Alabama after tornado touches down. I know there's a number 2 up here. Hyundai driving weirdos. Pilot caught on hot mic ranting against California liberal fucks. That's the headline, I'm just saying. And big tech CEOs defend their censorship practices at Capitol Hill disinformation hearing. So anyway, I will get those 2 out on Twitter and Facebook. So all right, that is it. I hope everybody has a good night. And we actually won't be back until, well, I'll be back on Saturday. I'm going to try to do Saturday for the weekly threat assessment. And then, of course, we'll be back Sunday evening for the regular show. So, anyway, like I say, tomorrow I'm pretty sure I'm going to be busy probably most of the day. So, I'm just not even going to try to kill myself. I'll do the threat assessment on Saturdays. So anyway, I am out of here. I hope everybody has a good evening. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.